support the idea and the mission behind the Peer Support Network, because we're all in this together, and it's very necessary, I believe, that we show support to one another, that we are able to connect with one another and relate with one another in a way that reminds us that we're not in this alone.
It just continues to expand and continues to look for ways that we can support the volunteer community emotionally and mentally.
PSN provides support for the volunteer community through different personal development sessions during trainings, as well as resources that we get for volunteers to use throughout their service to successfully deal with the ups and downs that is Peace Corps life.
I think the overall goal is to make sure that every volunteer feels like they have somewhere to go for support. And for some volunteers, that's going to be a special staff person. And for other volunteers, it's always going to be peers for them.
An outlet if you need to vent, if you need to call someone. It utilizes the coach approach, operating under the idea that the answers are within the person that calls in.
Our involvement with PSN started from the beginning, right? Since the deployment of the program, we participate when Washington came to show us how PSN wanna work. We give our suggestions how to maintain the relationship with the PCVs, and also we reinforce and maintain the confidentiality. We know that is a very important point. It's a key point for the PCVs to trust the PSN members.
We know that we are here, to support mentally and physically the Peace Corps volunteers, but we recognize that sometimes the PCVs, the volunteers, want to talk with another volunteers. Through that, since we created a PSN group here in Paraguay, we actually have many less difficult cases, mental health, especially mental health cases.
I really believe the strength in the PSN network is the volunteer relationship with the PCVs. A PCV will come to talk to a friend, right? So why we don't train this friend to manage the situations that can raise up?
So when I first arrived, the PSN group had sustained a period of time without staff support. There was a transition from the DPT. And so the group was a little bit floundering. We redesigned the training program for PSN and the selection approach for PSN. So we worked with them to not only have coaching skills and be able to respond to individual needs, but also to promote healthy gatherings among volunteers. We brought to them the issue of binge drinking and how could we work together on curbing that. And also now our newest kind of approach is giving PSN the skills and the tools to promote not only healthy gatherings at the back level, but also think about things like professional development and professionalism, and what does that mean, and how can PSN be a support group and a model group for that approach.
I thought, wow, this is just a natural thing for volunteers to resort to their peers who are well prepared and trained to deal with difficult and sometimes not so difficult situations, but that volunteers may be going through. And so if we can turn a volunteer who's doing out of 10, say a level 6 or 7 service, and maybe he or she is not totally happy with it, and help that volunteer go to an 8 or a 9 or a 10, that's amazing. That's wonderful, and I think that's what we're here for.
Really, I think the big piece that was important to us is really giving life to the PSN so that the individuals felt like they were trained and capable to respond to calls, but not only that they were able to respond to calls, but that we looked at PSN as a group and how could the PSN group impact and change and have a positive impact on the volunteer population.
What's very important about the PSN is that it continues to build on our team approach to dealing with everything that we deal with here.
I think we've In the 2 years that I've been here, the PSN has really transformed and transitioned into just a small group of volunteers kind of there, available for phone calls when random volunteers would want to really being a force for positive change in the Peace Corps community.
People self-nominate, then we usually get double the amount that we need. So then there's an interviewing process that actually your other peer support network volunteers are engaged in this interviewing process. There's a pre-selection, and then we bring it to the senior management team who reviews the candidates, and usually by the time they're pre-selected, the senior management team always says they're perfect folks.
So it isn't staff alone doing something, or volunteers alone doing something, or senior staff or senior management, but that we have a multiplicity of actors involved, and they collaborate with one another.
Overall goal is really being a preventive arm within the organization to really help volunteers at that critical time of integration so that we can prevent that a little problem doesn't become a bigger problem or a mental health issue. I know that the number of cases of volunteer issues has reduced in the 2 years that we've had your support network, and I'm really happy about that.
I wanted to join PSN because I wanted to be an open ear for other volunteers that needed to talk.
It really helps you because once you call them, you can talk to them about your issues, you can throw out a lot of different ideas, and they really help you find a solution that is culturally appropriate, but also that really keeps you safe and keeps you mentally sound.
It's a very unique program that we have in Peace Corps, and I am happy to have been a part of it.